Hi everyone, this is AbisMal, and this week I decided to do something a little different from one of my videos. So this is a Q&A, and it'll be number one. I have no idea when number two will be, but if people ask me some questions, then I'll go ahead and put together at least another one. And I got this idea from watching Daring Lime. He put out a Q&A video, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought some people might enjoy something like this for my channel as well. I do recommend you go check out his Q&A as well. I asked him if he would mind if I just use the same questions that he did, and he graciously acquiesced. And I recommend, if you haven't checked out his channel before, like Villain Theory and myself, Daring Lime's a fan of the original T'Challa Black Panther, and his coverage of the Shuri Black Panther reveal is stellar. Just a fantastic analysis of the cards in there. And then you can explore his channel from there. But I do highly recommend it. And he plays solo, but plays more multiplayer, so he has some real good perspective from that viewpoint as well. So the first question then is, what do you do for a living? And I teach math online. And here, let me go ahead and share my shirt. So this is one of the shirts I wear. And this is one I think Daring Lime will in particular. He's a physicist and or physics. Yeah, he's working in physics. And so may the mass times acceleration be with you. I think that's one he'll appreciate especially, and I think a lot of the rest of you will as well, whether you're into Star Wars or into physics. Right. I love teaching online, and I loved teaching when I was face to face with the students in person as well. But I do especially love teaching online. I really enjoy creating lessons that help students uh, let them have fun enjoying the process of figuring out math with others, so with the rest of the class, and then feel smart because they get it. So I really that's kind of my creative outlet when it comes to teaching, is the creation of lessons like that. And I enjoy you might say, the art of teaching as well as in the actual teaching with the students. In addition, so that's my paid job, right? I'm not sure why I did quotes on that. It is paid. My quote unpaid job is I'm also my wife's caregiver. I have been so for the last 20 years or so. We've been married like 34 years, and in a more significant way in the last 10 years. So basically a 24/7 job without pay. But I'm lucky that I'm able to teach online so that I can care for my wife's needs in a way that allows her to be as independent as possible. So I can go and see to some of her immediate needs, and meanwhile she can be online. She has multiple sclerosis, can't use her like hands or walk or whatever, so she controls it with all of her things on the computer with her voice. Okay? So that does mean that this kind of lifestyle that we live means that I am actually a solo player. Don't really have ways to facilitate, playing in other ways. I've only played two-player a couple of times when the game first came out with my brother, maybe more like three or four times. But otherwise, I'm a solo player, and that's basically my specialty because of the life situation there. But I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to be able to have a job that allows me to be able to do so, to care for my wife. Next question is, what are your top 5 heroes? So I just recently, like just a couple of weeks ago, put out a Marvel Champions hero tier list of my favorite heroes, plus my favorite aspects to play those heroes in. And so the top 5 are Psylocke, and which I really like Psylocke because she has built-in resource generators with her psi weapons. And then there's Wasp, who I put out some videos for already. Really like her being able to use recursion with Moon Girl and with her genius trait and her alter ego side. Really love magic, all the various manipulations. I actually didn't have fun with her when I first started playing her, but then it was just too complicated at first. but when I played her just like a month ago or so, I actually enjoyed her quite a bit. So maybe it had a chance to sink in, and I got a little better at using my tools to facilitate playing her, and had a lot of fun, figuring out exactly how to do all the manipulations to get the right card at the right time on top of her deck. As a reminder, she's the one who can play the top card of her deck, and for one fewer cost, one time per round, per phase, I believe. And then there's Cable. So I really like his whole side scheme thing. I actually, one of my favorite things about him is, building up a bunch of those side schemes on the side and then just blasting with huge attacks. I find that a lot of fun. And then Magneto recently also ended up being in my top five. I really enjoy him. I've actually only played him in two aspects yet, so I'm looking forward to getting him back to the table to play the other three. So I've played him in Leadership and Justice. So I still want to try him out in the other three. And then those are the top five right now. My recent plays with Peter Parker's Spider-Man puts him in the top tier for me for as far as favorite players. I just don't know where in that he is yet, so I'll have to reflect on that yet. Okay. All right, next question is, what are your favorite villains? Now, and these are in no particular order. They're just, my favorites. I've played Project Wide Awake, so I don't like playing it as much anymore because I've literally played it about 500 times. I was keeping track of all my plays where I would play every hero in standard and then expert and in every aspect. And I just play each one until I beat Project Wide Awake. But one of the things I really enjoyed about Project Wide Awake is that the fact that you can lose by defending with your allies, and that might not sound like a fun thing, but it made me see that choosing the timing of when to defend with allies can give you more options. And so it made me a better player at using my allies, not just to defend with all the time, and let your hero take the hit sometimes instead, which can make a big difference because you can now accomplish a lot more by allowing your allies to get their full number of activations. So I really appreciate Project Wide Awake for that. So I'm not as likely to play it anymore because I've played it maybe more than anybody, but it still is one of my favorites for that reason. And then next is Magneto. Magneto's my favorite challenging villain to play against. And I like it that he keeps you thinking at all times, but at the same time, there's a real strategy to follow in solo that's highly effective in defeating him. But at the same time, you can lose it at any time. He can bust out some huge attack or do multiple schemings on your turn. Do multiple schemings on you and go through all three stages of his main scheme in no time. So you're always in danger, but it's still manageable if you can get off to the right start. And if you construct the right deck and get good at anticipating the possibilities of what Magneto can do, then you can get pretty good at controlling the game and winning, even in expert, the majority of the times. So I actually enjoy that challenge quite a bit. Claw is one of my favorites as a warm-up. So he's my go-to warm-up villain. So I'll play him in standard, then play him in expert, which, by the way, that's what I like doing all the time with my villains. I like playing them first in standard as kind of a warm-up and then an expert, but also because standard and expert give you two different ways to play. In standard, it's fun to kind of dominate more for a little bit and play your deck in a way you don't always get to play it, at least in solo. And then in expert, you get that added challenge. So I like playing back-to-back standard and then expert against all the villains that I play. And then Rhino, whom in the beginning, that was my first villain that I played against. And I played against Rhino, Claw, and what's the other one from the core set? I can't remember right now. I'll probably remember later. The robot one. But Rhino, I really enjoy playing now. I've added the Doomsday chair and counter module instead of the recommended one, and it's made him very challenging. And I just like that there's a bigger kind of roll of the dice, which normally I don't like. I don't like risky play, but I just like that added challenge that the Doomsday chair brings. And like you end up facing MODOK multiple times a lot of the time, and he has 8 hit points and retaliate 2, so it's hard to get him, gone in just one shot, unless for a lot of the heroes, some heroes can do it, but a lot of heroes can't. And even the heroes who can, you don't always have, the right cards at the right time to just hit him in one shot. And then on top of that, the Doomsday Chair, and there are 2 copies of the Doomsday Chair, or is it 3? I think it's 2 in the set, and they both come with 8th threat and an acceleration token. And of course, and those of you who played Rhino enough know that an acceleration token is really dangerous when you're playing Rhino. You know that you can lose very quickly to him if he ends up getting an advance at the wrong time. So, so those 4 are currently my favorites. So that was Project Wide Awake, Magneto, Claw, and Rhino specifically with the Doomsday Chair encounter set added in. My or module set. And then the next question is worst hero plus villain combo. And this is kind of a tough one for me. Now, first, I'm going to eliminate Ronin right away. I haven't played Ronin since the first times when I bought the expansion and just got slaughtered by him. I am looking forward to getting back to him again at some point. Now that so many decks are so much stronger, there's so many and if I find that I'm just having trouble defeating him, I can always watch people who defeat him regularly. There are quite a few content creators who do so. So I can always watch some of their examples, although I prefer the challenge of just doing it on my own. But if I can't, right, there are examples out there. So I am looking forward to getting back to him, but I can't comment on him at this point just because I haven't done that yet. So I would say, as far as worst hero plus villain combo, Red Skull, as far as villain's concerned, and any hero that has trouble with thwarting, like say Hulk, because a new side scheme comes out each round. Although Hulk, might possibly rush him, I still haven't really played real rush decks. Rush decks, we're going to get to another question later on, but rush decks are not my favorite style of play. I like building out. But here and there, I'm willing to experiment. And then, so he might be able to rush him, but also I'm actually planning on playing a Hulk deck with almost all allies added to it. So I'm actually curious about how something like that might work against Red Skull. So maybe when I do play Hulk, I'll, do some warm-ups against others and then go for Red Skull and see what the deck can do. And then also another hero villain combo is the heroes that have trouble doing a lot of damage against, like when they face Sabretooth, those marathon games that just can last forever playing against Sabretooth because you can't do a bunch of damage all at once. That's not terribly fun. I otherwise do enjoy playing against Sabretooth. I've actually played against him a lot of times too, probably at least 400 times. So I actually do, enjoy playing against him, but I don't like it when they become a marathon match because every time he activates, he heals himself. And if he does that a bunch of times, that's not very much fun. So a good example with that is Black Widow. Although I'm curious about trying Black Widow against Sabretooth with the new Waylay card or relatively recent Waylay card. That's currently my favorite Justice card because the damage output on that thing is just awesome. I love that. It's not awesome compared to some of the aggression cards, but a 3 cost doing 7 damage is significant for a Justice card. So and if you manipulate, and I like the puzzle actually of manipulating because you have to clear all the threat on some kind of scheme to be able to use, because you can always play Waylay and do 4 damage, but you can only do 7 damage if you just defeated a scheme or cleared the threat of a scheme. And so I like that puzzle of making sure to, clear out that scheme just right so I can use Waylay. So, so I'd be curious about that. But those are the 2 kind of worst hero plus villain combos I can think of, at least for right now. Okay. And then the next question, there are what, two more questions. The hero I want to like but can't. So those who've seen my hero tier list know I do actually enjoy playing all of the heroes, but for sure Valkyrie is the one I've struggled with liking the most, especially as someone who has only played solo for so long. But at the same time, I've still played plenty of games with Valkyrie that I've enjoyed very much. So it's just there are times when it can be challenging to build the right decks for her, and especially against certain villains. But if I were to limit myself to villains that she's more likely to have her strengths against, I'm more likely to have fun with that. So, but Valkyrie I would say for sure is the one. I would like to get back to Valkyrie again sometime soon, just to see what I can do to improve that. And then the final question is, what is my favorite archetype to play? And for sure, I like archetypes that involve a lot of card draw, which is why I enjoy leadership and justice so much, because those are the two where you can most readily get to that card draw, and especially in leadership. So that means for sure I like recursion strategies, which leadership leans into. And then, you have like the heroes that have the genius trait. So you'll be able to use Moon Girl in them when you're on the alter ego side, and then the champion heroes being able to use Moon Girl too. So any of those, I just love card draw because I love having lots of options, lots of things I can do. I don't like it when I don't have much that I can do on my turn. And so that's why I like lots of card draw. I like to be able to get a bunch of cards and do lots of stuff. So that's why for sure my favorite archetypes have to do with card draw. All right, so again, so that's it for all the questions. Thanks again to Daring Lime, who, by the way, plans on making his Q&A series a regular series on his channel. I don't remember if I mentioned that at the beginning, so that'd be a good thing to check out on a regular basis. And like I said, I don't know how often I'll end up doing mine. And then since I did talk about my, my teaching job for a little bit, I figured I might as well go off with my adios that I say to my students regularly, and that is hasta la pasta, everyone, which of course means until the pasta. So have a good one, everybody, and looking forward to seeing any comments that people might make on this one. I hope you guys like it.